I'm going to put this on my door and we'll pretend you're walking through here all the time.
Governor Ventura's first stop on his Iron Range tour, Eveleth, and the offices of the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board.
He seems like he belongs on the range, that he's a ranger. He talks like the rest of them do.
For the next part of his whirlwind tour, he checked out Giants Ridge Golf Course in Biwabik, one of the IRRB's pet projects.
I think it's terrific for up here in the Iron Range area that, to get into the golfing business as you are with a facility like this.
While the governor says he's impressed by the course, the employees there say they're impressed by him.
And when I finally saw him on it, I walked on up to him and said, HMC retired. And we shook hands, and then I took my hat off. And I said about a look-alike contest, all I need is a mustache, and he started to laugh.
This was Governor Ventura's last stop for the day at the St. Louis County Fair. But he wasn't just here for the fun and games. He also got serious about issues facing the Iron Range.
I, of course, as governor, am aware of the continuing crisis of the steel industry and the impacts that are beginning to be felt here in Minnesota's iron mining community.
One way he plans to do that, the appointment of the first citizen to the IRRB. Patricia Ives is the director of a child care center in Hibbing. But the governor wasn't just talking business.
What's your favorite animal?
I have two posters of each of a lion in my office at the Capitol. So I think wild animals, I've always liked the lion.
And judging from the roar of the crowd, the governor's popularity on the range is as high as ever. In Chisholm, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
U.S. fire experts say smoke detectors have cut fire deaths in half. This Duluth family credits their smoke alarm with getting them and their children out alive.
It was all happened really fast.
You realize how quickly things happen and how thankful you are when you get out and you're safe. And
tributes to smoke alarms are easy to find. But now a company is telling Northlanders they've got a better device. They're called heat detectors. Their alarm goes off when the temperature in a room gets above 135 degrees. Over the last few weeks, the company's been calling people throughout the Northland with a special offer. They drew the attention of the Duluth Fire Department when they called someone who worked there.
They would basically do is get you and your people to go and have this free dinner, show you this video, and then they would kind of high pressure to make an appointment to come to your home. And then at that point, they would really put the high pressure on you.
The company tells prospective buyers that every home should have at least one heat detector on every floor. And in their hard sell, they tell these people that if they care about their children, if they care about their families, they absolutely must buy heat detectors. And they tell them that these heat detectors are better than smoke detectors. Janice and Ted Williams cared very much about their only daughter, Vanessa.
It's just a nightmare. It's been 2 years now, and there's days that I still can't believe that it happened.
Last week, an NBC Dateline report told of how the Williams lost their 24-year-old daughter in a raging house fire in Tennessee.
She never knew the fire was there until the smoke overcame her and took her.
The boarding house in which Vanessa lived had 15 heat detectors. Investigators say by the time the alarm sounded, it was too late. Duluth fire experts say an earlier alert when there's still just smoke is critical.
The smoke detectors activate quicker, and they're going to get you out before the smoke gets too strong and the heat gets too strong that you can't survive.
The heat detectors being offered in the Northland cost about $350 apiece. Heat sensor salespeople say most homes should have several. With installation, the company says the average per home cost is about $4,000. Fire experts say you could have your whole house equipped with a much safer system for that much money.
A lot of times you can get your whole house sprinklered for $2,000 in a residential home, and you'd be much safer than you would with these heat detectors.
Overall, fire officials in Duluth say your best chance of escaping a burning house is early alert with working smoke detectors. In Duluth, Barbara Riles, News 6.
It was all smiles for the governor today, who walked through the doors of Cirrus Design and into a new wave of aviation technology. This first stop on Governor Ventura's tour was the perfect setting for him to sign a few autographs, pose for a few pictures, and check out the SR-20 aircraft, and he wasn't disappointed.
It's terrific. It's a tremendous business that comes in here and creates a new aspect of jobs and expands the tax base for Duluth and Minnesota.
Ventura's next stop on the tour brought out business of a different kind, a tourism luncheon, but not before making a few jabs at the media.
They seem to only want to report on my activities in my private life, and then they accuse me of not doing my job in their editorials. So let them know that I was up here today and that I was doing my job.
Ventura got down to business by talking politics and the city's chances of hosting next year's Reform Party convention.
And Duluth is certainly in the running for it.
The focus then shifted to a lighter topic, the naming of next year's governor's fishing opener spot.
I'm pleased to announce that the 2000 Fishing Opener celebration will be held May 12th and 13th in Crane Lake, Minnesota.
Ventura also touched on other topics like state relief efforts to help those pounded by the July 4th storms. One of Ventura's supporters thanked him personally by dedicating a tree along the Gunflint Trail in his name.
And he's actually done a lot for tourism and for the Gunflint Trail Association. The first thing being declared a disaster area, which has got us FEMA money for both restoring our power, which we were out 14 days without power, and also some of the cleanup of the trail system.
Those out with the governor say he's come a long way from his days of playing to the media. They say it's comforting to see Ventura focusing less on the spotlight and more on Northland needs. In Duluth, Corrine Winter, News 6.
You can hold my administration to them. That's
It was all smiles for the governor today, who walked through the doors of Cirrus Design and into a new wave of aviation technology. This first stop on Governor Ventura's tour was the perfect setting for him to sign a few autographs, pose for a few pictures, and check out the SR-20 aircraft, and he wasn't disappointed.
It's terrific. It's a tremendous business that comes in here and creates a new aspect of jobs and expands the tax base for Duluth and Minnesota.
Ventura's next stop on the tour brought out business of a different kind, a tourism luncheon. Ventura got down to business by talking politics and the city's chances of hosting next year's Reform Party convention.
And Duluth is certainly in the running for it.
The focus then shifted to a lighter topic, the naming of next year's governor's fishing opener spot.
I'm pleased to announce that the 2000 Fishing Opener celebration will be held May 12th and 13th in Crane Lake, Minnesota.
Ventura also touched on other topics like state relief efforts to help those pounded by the July 4th storms. One of Ventura's supporters thanked him personally by dedicating a tree along the Gunflint Trail in his name.
And he's actually done a lot for tourism and for the Gunflint Trail Association. The first thing being declared a disaster area, which has got us FEMA money for both restoring our power, which we were out 14 days without power, and also some of the cleanup of the trail system.
Those out with the governor say he's come a long way from his days of playing to the media. They say it's comforting to see Ventura focusing less on the spotlight and more on Northland needs. In Duluth, Corrine Winter, News 6.
You can hold my administration to them. That's
I don't think so. Okay, here we are, 126.
Well, what we look for is uniformity, color, cleanliness of the foliage, no insects on them. We don't like to see any bug spray. So a lot of it is staging.
Good traits come from mom, bad traits come from dad. But I can't part with
Yeah, this is neat. Very, very uplifting. We get so psyched for this race every year, so it's neat that they can be here with us.
We have a part of Kristen that lives on in Tessa, and just being here is wonderful. And bringing her back here, sort of bringing her home.
The moving wall that's visiting Duluth is half the size of the memorial in Washington, D.C., but it holds just as many names and memories.
Look at all those names. 58,000. Unbelievable.
Carl Mattel's son, Ron, is one of those names.
Here.
A dedicated son and soldier who lost his life fighting in Vietnam.
Like I told him, I was in the service myself. I said, Ron, be careful when you're over there now. It's not going to be easy. He said, Dad, do you mean that? Ooh, those were hard words.
It's just one of more than 58,000 stories of loss.
My son was a good friend of Michael's.
Like the death of Laverne McKeever's son, Michael.
To see all these people here, to know that my son and the other men and women have not been forgotten is something that I appreciate very much.
Loved ones and veterans were honored as a part of the arrival of the moving wall, with music and the retelling of painful memories.
11 of our ever so common soldiers did not rise at the end of that day. I'm grateful to have been among them that day and lived.
This is a brother of a brother-in-law.
But with every rubbing and every memory, as a retired school teacher leaves a flower for a student who didn't come back.
This is the name. We're a little scared.
The wall will be here in the Northland for a short time, but the appreciation for the sacrifices these men and women made for the country will last forever. In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Jesse the Body's here. Jesse the Body's here to stay. You're gonna see a lot of me, whether you like it or not.
Although few people beyond the world of wrestling realized it at the time, they were strangely prophetic words.
'Cause we shocked the world!
When the body became the governor, it was the first of many shocks to come.
Professional wrestling is a cross between ballet, soap operas.
You're in my state now. I am law and order here.
And a little fighting, and it's nothing to be ashamed of.
And now Ventura has thrown politics into the mix.
Don't you think that Geraldine Ferraro was vastly underrated as a candidate?
She might have been.
Jesse is a self-promoter and he'll do anything for a buck. He makes the whole state of Minnesota look stupid.
Governor Ventura says he'll donate his $100,000 appearance fee to charity, but is estimated he'll earn 10 times that amount in videotape royalties, which is prompting some critics to charge that the governor is more interested in serving himself than the public.
And he's using his office as governor for his personal financial gain, and that's a conflict of interest.
But so too does the debate over Governor Ventura's participation. The governor himself sees it this way.
Just because I'm the governor doesn't mean I'm going to cease to have fun.
Yeah, it definitely adds up, especially I think for my contractor, my digger who was here, really took a lot of time for him to have to come back and keep digging and rearrange things when it was wet.
Oh, I got one right here.
A continuation of the topic of the tooth. And that, you know, a strong possibility that it may be Katie because of a continuation of the testing.
Pam Poyer says this news is tough to swallow, especially after investigators initially ruled out the bones as belonging to Katie. She says she's facing the grim reality of never seeing her daughter again.
What's sad is the last word I heard her say is, "I love you," when we hung up off the phone.
This is a brainchild of mine to advance the art of choreography in our region. And so what I've done is I've taken 7 choreographers, some that are in the professional company, some that work professionally in the market, and promoted them and let them create some original work. And we also...
Could save a lot of people's homes. It could save a lot of valuable timber.
So I think it's very important.
The Rochester Post-Bulletin reports Rochester could overtake Duluth's ranking as fourth largest city in Minnesota when the 2000 census figures are tallied. The 92 Census Bureau lists Duluth's population as 85,431 and estimates that number will drop by about 3,000 people in the new millennium.
The Census Bureau's numbers, there's no question about them, they're wrong. They're way off compared to what the state demographer says.
Mayor Doty says the state demographer estimates 250 to 350 people may have left Duluth city limits in the past 8 years. But the state demographer and the Census Bureau compute statistics in different ways. In a sense, it's like comparing apples and oranges.
So is there any difference between Duluth being the fourth largest city or the fifth largest city from an economic standpoint?
No. None that I anticipate.
David Ross of the Duluth Chamber of Commerce says even if the population drops, cities like Chicago and Cleveland have seen that happen and experienced an economic boom.
So the indications are all strong. It's an illustration that you can enjoy as a community prosperity without having an increase in your population base.
Mayor Doty points to 9,000 new jobs in the last 7 years, saying population numbers don't necessarily reflect how healthy a city really is.
I'm happy for Rochester. If they're growing, that's great. I want the whole state to grow, and we're growing here as well.
The two cities have similar amenities. Rochester may have the Mayo Clinic, but Duluth has the 11th busiest convention center in the country. And if size really does matter, official census figures will likely be released in 2001. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
Every baseball fan to enter the Duke Stadium got a reminder that Katie Poyer's family and friends still need help.
You look at the people coming in and dropping in something there. It's the old story. You get enough coins dropped in, it makes up for a pretty good amount.
Katie's grandpa Lloyd Simich says he can't guess how much the search has cost so far, But he says thousands of dollars have been spent on flyers, ribbons, and food for the volunteers. He estimates that around 15,000 flyers have been sent out at about $1 a piece.
We're well satisfied with what's come in. Hey, if we get more, it just means we can work a little harder and send a few more flyers.
This is an extra large. You probably would take a large.
But it's not just the financial support that the Poyer family is grateful for.
I like to see it. I like to see people in here and shake my hand, shake my grandpa's hand, saying we're pulling for y'all.
This is the first Dukes game for Katie's brother, Patrick. He says it's nice to see so many people in the stands wearing their Katie buttons.
Lots of people are wearing it. It's nice to see. We're still thinking about it.
And making donations to the search efforts for his sister. Most fans at the game say it's the least they can do.
Oh gosh, I wish we could do more, but I'm hoping that it's something.
Katie's family members say they are so thankful during a time that's an emotional drain as well as a financial one. In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Apparently there's some construction going on up by the Super America station, and they ended up hitting a 4-inch natural gas main. And looks like we're going to shut the highway down between 3 and 4 hours until they get the leak contained.
And lending dollars is probably about $1 million investment.
Wendy, I'm sorry, I forgot Wendy Anderson. I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce you down there. We're appreciative of your confidence in the community and appreciative that you're going to be adding more great jobs to the city of Duluth. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Flossie? These are excellent jobs. These are the manufacturing kind of jobs that I think every community around the country covets, and we've got them here simply because we have a local company that has chosen to expand here.
Many years ago, they'd had the lumber in there and some feed and some coal before when they had coal. But that's all closed down now.
Matt Worry moved to Kettle River more than 50 years ago. The town has seen many changes since then, as the farming community that supported it has withered away. The feed mill, once a lucrative business, is now just a dilapidated building.
But as the farms dwindled and the cattle, there isn't any cattle, so the feed business just dwindled to nothing, so closed it down.
The town used to be home to a creamery, a meat processing plant, a hardware store, a hotel.
The small farms, when they closed, that affected all the businesses in town, all of them. The grocery store, the feed warehouse, the locker plant.
About 6,500 Minnesota farmers are expected to quit the business this year, leaving behind more declining towns like this one, and fewer people struggling to make the family farm work.
I feel that I put enough hours in a day here that I shouldn't have to work off the farm just to support my dairy habit.
Tom and Linda Zuck had been running a dairy farm just outside Kettle River for 15 years. As they watch neighboring farms shut down and the town fade away, they keep doing what they love.
So these small towns are slowly dying. There's no, other than for a place to live, I mean, it's pretty hard for a business to open up and have enough people walking through the door to support them.
If we have money, that means that the feed store and the co-op and the grocery store and everybody else is getting money also. That's what I want. I want the family farm to prosper, and it starts from there, I think.
Matt Worry knows what they are going through. He was once a farmer too, in the 50s.
It was a bustling community. Oh, yes. I was on the farm myself, and Farming was fine. Everybody had cattle and everybody milked, and we all survived good.
But now, surviving is much harder for the town and the farmers. In Kettle River, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
We're very excited, so. Freshman year, isn't that great?
We're out the store.
Big classrooms. That's the scary part, but I think it's going to be fun and very interesting to meet other new people from other places, so I'm excited about that.
It kind of was like exciting riding over here, and she was getting nervous, and I was getting nervous, and just trying to get her moved in, and then I'll probably just leave her here.
Boy, those cars hold a lot of stuff if you file it right, huh? Rick? Chris? All right, thank you.
She got on that ball. We're all
Very excited, so. Freshman year, isn't that great? Rick? Chris? All right, thank you. Boy, those cars hold a lot of stuff if you file it right, huh? Rick? Chris? All right.
see. We went up to Two Harbors, saw the Glen Sheen Mansion. Let's see, we saw the
big old ship.
The William Irvin. We saw the ship, aerial bridge. Today we went to the zoo. That was really great. Nice day for that. Beautiful zoo. Got a great town. We had a lot of fun.
A worm-infested sofa sits outside the Goodwill building on Garfield Avenue, one of many pieces of junk that will end up in the landfill.
If you look behind us, we can see some couches that were probably out behind somebody's garage that have been rained on for the last 5 years, and now they've decided to donate to Goodwill.
Goodwill spends $63,000 a year throwing out junk, money that could be used on the agency's 160 employees or other programs. And just about every day, someone pulls in with a less than desirable donation.
This is highly questionable.
After questioning the piano's owner, Doug decides to accept the piano, hoping someone will buy it as is.
Be real careful. Keep your back straight.
A sign at the Goodwill drop-off site lists specifically what Goodwill does not want dropped off, including tires, broken furniture, and damaged TVs. Yet what do we find? Tires, damaged furniture, and broken TVs.
There are many people who donate quality items Goodwill takes gladly. People like Dolores Barber.
Shoes, clothes. My husband passed away lately, so it's all his clothes. Aww. And I'm sure that somebody can use them. So, but I always come here.
Dolores's items will end up here, inside the Goodwill store. Good quality, clean items. Instead of here, in a heaping pile of garbage.
What about something like this? This looks all mildewy and that. That looks to me like that wouldn't be salvageable.
That would be pure trash.
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
Doesn't look so bad. Again, it would be examined to determine if it's structurally sound, if it's got a future with a slipcover on it, if it's clean.
Yeah, so it's all there. Well,
County Sheriff or Deputy
but it's something. We'll check with. All right, we'll check with it.
The man was going to 69.
Oh, okay, good girl. Oh yeah, yeah.
How do you know him?
Oh, I'm from West Duluth.
Oh, okay.
And then Mike was just on the board with us. We've been handling it for over 100 days. We just another day until something breaks.
What kind?
I think by all of the hugs and love shown out in the hallway, there is a lot of peace. I don't know that there's ever a closure.
I held up hope when you look at the criminal background. I was really hoping that he would not have done this, but it's sort of a two-edged sword. You want her still alive, and yet you want closure. And I lost a very close friend when I was a teenager.
I don't know. I guess I'm just she's really upset. She probably won't talk to me, I guess.
She won't talk to you either?
Very, very upset and very hurt. My daughter's down there. She's crying and very hurt.
I pointed out that the Poyer family is suffering terribly from what he did to their daughter. He said he knew they were having a hard time.
Would you say that you're remorseful, and if you could talk to Katie's family, would you tell them that you're sorry, or what would you say?
I guess it's you asking some pretty personal questions, and I don't mind answering personal questions that you have a hard time doing over phone.
Blom's lawyer told us it was Blom's concern for the Poyer family that led to his confession, even though he'd been advised by his attorneys not to talk. Blom said he didn't want to answer my questions over the phone about other crimes he may have been involved in, because all his conversations are recorded. He was, however, willing to answer direct questions about the murder of 12-year-old Callie Jo Larson in her Waseca home. He said he didn't know who I was talking about.
Callie Jo Larson is the little girl who was killed in the Twin Cities and hanged upside down.
That's a pretty sick thing to say, I guess.
Were you involved in that one?
No, I wasn't. I think that's a pretty gross thing to say, I think.
Pretty gross thing to happen to that little girl.
I don't know. I guess I'm just she's really upset. She probably won't talk to me, I guess.
She won't talk to you either?
Very, very upset and very hurt. My daughter's down there. She's crying and very hurt.
When I pointed out that the Poyer family was also suffering, he acknowledged that.
If you could talk to them, what would you say to them?
I don't know, probably quite a bit. Yeah, it's probably quite a bit, you'd say. I think they're just having a hard time right now. I think something like this is best to leave them alone.
I asked him if he were sorry for what he did to Katie, but he wouldn't give me a direct answer. Would you say that you're remorseful, and if you could talk to Katie's family, would you tell them that you're sorry, or what would you say?
I guess it's you asking some pretty personal questions, and I don't mind answering personal questions that you have a hard time doing it over a phone.
Blom said he didn't want to say too much because his phone calls are recorded and officials listen to what he says. He refused to answer direct questions about crimes in which he may be a suspect, except for one. When I asked him about 12-year-old Callie Jo Larson, who was killed in her Waseca home, he said he didn't know anything about that murder. Callie Jo Larson is the little girl who was killed in the Twin Cities and hanged upside down.
That's a pretty sick thing to say, I guess.
Were you involved in that one?
No, I wasn't. I think that's a pretty gross thing to say, I think.
Pretty gross thing to happen to that little girl.
I said, I don't know the Larsons who you're talking about. That was kind of a cheap shot or something.
Just asking.
Correct or something.
I think the FBI wants to ask.
Yeah, it was suffering. There's a lot of people doing it. Employers and my family, and there's a lot of people. I just think they just kind of want to be left alone a bit.
Loud screaming, but a lot of that we heard was in the daytime. So we just didn't go investigate. Just didn't. We should have. My husband said we don't want to know those people. Hear all this noise and shooting all night long, some nights all night long. One night it was 6 o'clock in the morning before they quit.
Stars are shining.
Oh, definitely. There's got to be changes. There's got to be changes because he's not the only one that's out on the street like this.
Back on the other side the way I used to be. It's hard, and I can't do near as much, and then, energy isn't.
The season is ripe for carrots and beets, peppers and tomatoes.
Up in your mouth. Yummy, huh, Rachel? Oh, good all the way down.
Time for farmers and consumers to enjoy the fruits
Are you a honey eater?
of a summer's labor. It's harvest time.
Everything's in its peak right now, and it comes on at this time of year. Everything comes right all at the same time,
And who can deny the sweet taste of success?
Isn't that good corn? Delicious. Have a bite.
Hungry visitors to the Bayfront Harvest Festival got to sample sweet corn picked fresh from the field.
Well, first you have to grow it right. These growers are grown organically on the right soil. They planted at the right time to be just perfect today.
The festival features many of the ways farmers benefit from nature's gifts, like the maple syrup that turns into a treat.
I take it, I pour it into the bowl, I start whipping air into it, and as I whip air into it, it granulates and turns into maple sugar.
I'm just doing some random strokes here for some texture. All right, in she goes.
The event also showcases the self-sufficiency of another time with blacksmithing.
Well, you can make darn near anything you want for one thing. You know, if you need a curtain rod, you make the curtain rod.
Other projects like sawmilling and spinning.
It just wraps the two together. See now, this is just about full.
Fascinated festival goers who got a chance to celebrate the cycle of the seasons.
You end up with a circle of life. You know, everything goes back into the soil, and it rests for this winter and comes back and produces again for you in the spring.
In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Yes, very.
Missouri farmer Roger Allison is leading a protest of the nation's farm policies. He says the 1996 Farm Bill that's phasing out subsidies to producers is failing and is driving farmers off their land.
We need a new direction in farm policy that is going to need more farmers, include more farmers, give us cost of production, plus a reasonable profit.
Allison and the other farmers say the Freedom to Farm Act, as it's known, helps big business and corporate farms, but leaves them struggling. They say right now prices for grain, livestock, and other products are so low, they can't recover the money they're spending on production.
My father could get $3 a bushel for corn. You can only get $1.50 to $1.90 per bushel. And it's just incredible.
Georgia farmer Larry O'Neill says he's just about ready to give up.
It's not fair for the farmer to do all this hard work and labor and not receive a fair price for his products.
Farmers say Congress needs to make some changes. They want to make sure that any laws Congress approves in the future sets market prices to cover the cost of growing the crops. They also want emergency money made available to help farmers recover from natural disasters like this year's drought.
Some more efficient investigations. We had some indication or information that individuals were going to try and establish a hold on the drug trade within Superior. We feel that we've dismantled that.
And what you have to do in drug enforcement in cities of our size or metropolitan areas is you have to keep doing it. You can't stop. You can't say, okay, we made whatever, a dozen arrests and everything will be okay for a while. That just isn't the way it is anymore. It's a vicious cycle and it keeps going. And unfortunately, there's always some. School zones all have enhanced penalties. And what you have to do in drug enforcement in cities of our size or metropolitan areas is you have to keep doing it. You can't stop. You can't say, okay, we made whatever, a dozen arrests and everything will be okay for a while.
That sends the message to the drug dealers that it doesn't matter which side of the bridge you're going to stay on or which side of the bridge you're going to deal on, that we're going to be out watching for them and trying to make arrests.
The drug problem's never going to go away.
Each day, thousands of dollars in drugs are being dealt on the streets of Duluth. And it's up to investigators like Sergeant Denon Bowers of the Duluth Police Department to keep the streets clean. Earlier this week, officers arrested 14 suspects charged with the sale of heroin and crack cocaine. Most of the arrests occurred in the Central Hillside.
One of the reasons I think that the Central Hillside is more, their problems are more visible, is because there's just more people in a compressed area.
Officers give credit to some neighbors for helping with the recent bust. They say it was information provided by area residents that helped them to make the arrests. But someone who's reported drug dealing in a different Duluth neighborhood says more needs to be done.
We have noticed that there's drugs going on down there, and the police have been down there numerous times. We have called the police many times on drugs that are being dealt right in front of our own home.
Rod Lubaney and his family have lived in the East Hillside neighborhood for more than 20 years. He says he's seen a lot of drugs come through his neighborhood, and he's told the police.
We even gave them license numbers. We gave them names, people that were dealing. Not one of them has been touched.
One of the problems that gets associated with people giving us this information and the covert nature of our job is that a lot of times we're conducting investigations and no one's really aware of it.
That is, until arrests like the ones this week are made. In Duluth, Jody Grayson, News 6.
We need stuff back there.
We're going to remember Katie forever. We will never forget Katie.
At Hope Lutheran Church, volunteers are busy preparing food that will be brought to Barnum High School for the service.
We hope to serve around, or maybe a little over 2,000 people.
Just down the street, final flowers are being arranged before delivery.
There's stuff probably from places people don't, haven't known them. They just known through the papers or TV or have come up to search.
That'll work. And now we're adding the...
This one.
It's the original Chester Bowl Fall Fest Caramel Apple.
Oh, hi.
Two brats, one hot dog, and a Pepsi.
You betcha.
Okay, do you have anything tomorrow in this brand again?
Thank you. There you are.
Pick one like this.
Well, no problem.
Grandma's helper, huh?
Yeah, you're doing really, looks like quite good business for others.
Yes. Oh, no. Well, you can see the check.
Okay, then it's a little bit dry.
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And its management are and we're going to have a 12,000 square foot ballroom located at this height. And what a view we'll have out here. We'll finally get to enjoy that lake view. We're also going to have an outdoor deck that we have not had in the past. So during the months that we can use the outdoor facility, we're going to have a beautiful deck that people can go out and use and enjoy that and really enjoy and have a view of our lake.
A facility that hasn't even... With that?
My wife and I both have been in the helping professions all our lives, so apparently we're both teachers. So I guess that's been a lifetime goal of ours, to try to make differences in people's lives, and this is just the way of doing it now that we're retired.
It's going to be a lot of trying circumstances. People are going to be upset they're without their homes, they're perhaps separated from their friends and relatives or their animal because they don't have animals in the shelter. So it's going to be trying for a lot of people, but I hope we can bring them a little TLC, you know, a little humor.
Whatever you say represents the whole organization.
They mentioned Smithfield, that was where we were supposed to go for headquarters.
Comfortable, we're not going to make anybody do anything that
McGissey. On the shoulder of Silver. And all the rest of the dignitaries here.
I have long since given up trying to predict which way an eagle is going to.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, he's about 9 pounds. Just typical way for a bald eagle. We're going to toss into the wind here. So everybody ready to go?
Yep.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. The memory of Joe. Oh, wow. Wow. Oh.
Have you ever been at a movie and someone's cell phone starts ringing? Or having dinner in a quiet restaurant when the mood is broken by the strident ringing of a cell phone? Well, those are cell phone's don'ts. There are some unwritten rules about cell phone use that we should all know about.
Can't get away from the phone.
Cell phones. Many of us just can't live without them. But there are times and places where cell phone use is unacceptable.
It's really an attitude of self-importance.
Patsy Nasser is a business consultant who's bullish on cell phone etiquette, and she offers some basic don'ts on cell phone use. When a survey of 2,600 cell phone customers answered the question, what's the appropriate place for wireless phone use? The top answers were, when the car breaks down, when you're lost, when you're running late for an appointment, to check up on the kids when you're out shopping. As for inappropriate times and places,
is when people don't pay attention to their driving.
There's always a person on a cell phone, you know, in the fast lane, of course, doing 40 miles an hour.
In their grocery store, and they're calling because they can't decide what to bring home to their wife or whatever, so they have to call them to ask, like, which cereal do you want, Frosted Flakes or Frosted Cheerios? I'm like, can't you make up your mind?
and even if your business demands that you be reachable at a moment's notice, remember, be considerate. Even ask for forgiveness in advance.
I'm so sorry, I do expect one call, and I'll be very brief.
These rules aren't written anywhere, and not everyone lives by them. But if more people did, it would make it better for everyone else.
That they meant to me when I was growing up. My parents and my grandparents, and I was one of the few people of my generation who raced off. The common expression is, "Oh my God, I was so glad to be." But what he did was he broke the mold of politics at a time when a lot of people seemed to be interested in having it broken. And what I've always been, as a journalist, impressed with the governor is his ability to be pretty candid with not only the people of Minnesota but also with other reporters. Now, he's forced everybody to think about politics in new ways, and he probably